situation. But anyway, guys, let's hop into game number 2 here between Patience and Serral. Spawning down here in the bottom right-hand side, our red Protoss player up a game. It is Patience. And spawning up here in the top left-hand side, the blue Zerg player. It is Serral. Serral! Yeah, Serral looked so good that last game. And that's actually interesting, right? Because like I said at the start, guys, I actually haven't watched this series, right? I know who wins it. I'm not going to spoil it till the end for anyone who didn't watch it. But basically, the only thing I remember from Serral's play, like Patience played exactly how I expected him to there, right? Just super aggressive. The only thing I remember from Serral is he always goes like muters every game because he hates warp prisms and he wants to shut them down. He wants to, you know, force lots of anti-air units. And he's just so good that he somehow manages to squeeze them out every game. I think most players just aren't good enough at dealing with harassment while also droning up to get in a position where they can actually defend and have enough workers to then squeeze out an expensive tech unit like muters. So it's kind of interesting to see Serral just going for this, like, hey, I can get muters out pretty much every ZVP. I never seem to die to any timings. Though he was very close in that last game. I'm very curious to see how Serral defends against one of those like 50 probe stats timings where you go with like a mortal charge lot Archon. You know, you barely saturate your third base off an Archon drop and then you just go with charge and 2 Immortals and 2 Archons. Because that push is so hard to stop. Anyway, guys, looks like it's going to be a 2-gate opening here from Patience. A very aggressive opening. Going to be getting adepts across the map super early, probably following up with fast Oracle. This seems to be the most common opening at the moment. It's interesting because when the Queens first got their range upgrade, their range buff in that patch, I remember a lot of Protoss players just stopped using Oracles. They said, man, this just doesn't work anymore. But a lot of players seem to be back to using them, especially paired with adepts. Before, a lot of people would open up two Oracles, maybe bring 2 or 4 adepts across, but almost every game we're seeing like 6 adepts joining up with the Oracle or 2 and doing a really good job. Serral going to catch that probe. Really nice pickup for him. Serral has gone for a very standard opening once again, and looks like he is leaving on gas once more. So pulls 2 guys off after almost mining 100. So he'll still be able to go Overlord speed if he wishes. He sees the delayed Nexus. He sees these 2 adepts coming. How many Zerglings has he got out? Only 4 Zerglings so far. He's going to try and block. He's going to try and block. He's going to get the Queen down. Oh, no. Yeah, okay, he's going to block. Shades, of course, can go right through there. They don't care about that. But the Zergling's going to stay on top. And those adepts not really able to do anything. He respects that Serral will probably overreact to the threat. In fact, Serral actually only defended with 10 Zerglings. So this is a lot less. You'll see Snoot build like 16 Zerglings almost every game versus 2-gate adept, because he doesn't want to risk, you know, having a few too few, losing a whole bunch, and then just being down shit creek with adepts running around your base. Interestingly, it is going to be a Glaives follow-up this game from Patience, and that's a pretty fast Twilight Council, nice and efficient. Did Serral see that? Yes, he did. So he's going to know that he wants to go Roaches this game around, yeah. In that last game up against Stargate, he said, you know what, I can skip the Roaches until later on, because just Zerglings will deal with just a small handful of adepts with no Glaives. But in this case, he says, okay, about that 4-minute 30, 5-minute mark, there's going to be Glaive adepts potentially rocking up to my base. I'm going to need Roaches to fight that efficiently. You can defend it with Banelings, but Roaches definitely are Serral's choice, they're Nurture's choice. They're my favorite as well. It's very different though, depending on what unit you want to choose to deal with it. Zerglings are going to see this third base. Serral might just wait until the adepts go across the map and then come out. He's building 5 Roaches at home. He's got a mineral line, another mineral line, and 6 drones on the third. 7 Roaches on the way. This is, yeah, good execution so far. And here we go. Overlord sees the adepts shade out. Will the Zerglings come and harass that third? No, he's just going to go home. Okay, so Serral's going to respect Patience, say, you know what, he's probably got units to defend the counterattack, which he kind of does, Mothership Core plus a Sentry in the wall. And he's just going to have plenty of units at home. Only 5 adepts here. This is actually a very, very slow, half-hearted pressure from Patience. So this is kind of funny. If your opponent's really greedy and you do the sort of pressure that Patience did here, you will end up in a pretty poor position usually. because you're not punishing them. With only 5 glaive adepts, it's very half-assed pressure. However, against someone like Serral, who really respects the pressure, sees the Twilight Council, it can work out really well because he's built 7 roaches and 18 zerglings. He's way over-responded to just 5 adepts. And so it actually works out and both players end up relatively even. Overcharge does go down there. Zergling's not going to commit to focusing down that pylon because that is an absolute madman's task. You almost never do that unless you're going for a huge committed assault. 53 drones out for Serral. He's taking extra gases. He's got that +1 melee on the way. Lair is finishing. Really nice economy actually from Serral. Still up in workers just by a little bit this entire time. And this time around we see +1 Warp Prism. How many gateways have we got? Looks like just 3 gateways. So even though there's a Warp Prism with 4 adepts, there are some sentries and adepts out. It looks like this will be all for patience. And actually going up to 6 sentries. I don't know why that sentry is warping in so slowly, by the way. There's a warp gate right there. Or maybe it's warping it off. I don't even know. Anyway, somehow that must have been barely out of range of these 2 pylons. But it looks like for now, Spire is on the way. Once again, Serral, he feels he can always get away with this Spire. He always toes this line of greed so well, and this really is the mark of an excellent Zerg player. Oh my god, patience. Look at that, he finds the gap in the Overlord vision. He's dropped these 2 adepts off. So as he hits the natural and distracts, he's going to shade into that 3rd base. So here we go, focuses down a drone, picks up an adept, picks up the other adept. Oh, no, that adept does go down. So he does just get 2 drones for an adept. Not a bad trade. Zerglings come in here as well for Serral. Serral finds, wow, 9 kills. He actually just ravaged that 3rd base. Very nicely done by Serral. These adepts down here still, somehow Serral has still not spotted them. I guess Patience is just going to wait for the game to get a little bit chaotic. And the moment they run into that 3rd base, if Serral's surprised by them, he may lose about 10 drones. 6 Mutalisks are on the way though. Serral, he's getting up to that tech he wants. His Baneling Nest is quite late this game. Really needs his +2 melee and his Baneling speed. These are things he delays to get those Mutalisks out. And unfortunately for Patience, he didn't trigger this early enough. He is going to shade one of the adepts out, but it's already on red hit points. It's not going to get far. And it just takes a roach hit and goes down. So Patience here not really finding a lot of damage. And now with Mutas out, oh man, this Warp Prism is in danger. He's pushing out of the map. He wants to try and defend this. He's got an insane number of sentries. 10 sentries, a whole bunch of adepts, but losing the Warp Prism is massive because he just got up to his gateway count. He wanted to do a huge push here. He wanted to do a big 8-gate push, warping in Stalkers and adepts. But now, without the ability to warp in, oh man, everything's going disastrous here for Patience. There's so many Ravages, which is exactly what you need against this. He's going to take out one of those Ravages. He's got a few Stalkers joining up. But without that Warp Prism, this is just so bad for Patience. Like, he knows he needs to do something here because he has no other tech. All he's got is Glaives and +1. And his Banelings coming in. Even they're a threat right now. And oh, there's a hole in the force field. Every single bit of energy has to be used just to keep these units alive for Patience. But it's not enough. Serral dives on top, chases down the Immortals. The Banelings just smashing through the Adepts, Stalkers, and Sentries. And it looks like Patience is all but dead and dusted in this game. Loses his push. Just not expecting these Mutas out so fast, but Serral, a master of both defending pressure while being greedy. GG, Serral ties it up 1-1. Damn. Power of Christ compels you in chat says, you know what, I'm not sure, but I think Zest actually did some of that pressure you talked about. And Serral just cancelled his Spire and his 4th base, got a few more Spine Crawlers, along with his Ravagerling, and managed to defend. That's really cool. I'll check out that replay for sure. I might even cast that series, because I do have a bit of excitement for Serral's EVP. I think it's incredibly impressive. Thank you, Nicotine to Fuel. Alright guys, game number 3. We are here, the final game in the series. We are rolling on into it. That's really cool, actually, from Patience. He's like the only guy who's like, yeah, I'm just going to do a 10 Sentry, 2 Immortal, just gateway all in with Glaives. It's like, okay. Always mixes in these weird timings, which other people don't get to see as much. We don't get to see from other people as much. Whoops, hide that timer.